Bit of a comparison time between Uber Eats and Doordash. What if I told you that one is definitely better than the other? Now, this is not going to be a very simple, straightforward conclusion due to the fact that we've got quite a few different points to go through here, so buckle up for this one. But I will just say that overall, if you add everything up together, Doordash is the better of the two to drive for. Now, let's go through this point by point here, okay? First of all is the rather obvious which one's going to get you more offers. Doordash pretty much everywhere nationally. The national percentage goes like this. It is 69% Doordash, 23% Uber Eats, and 8% Grubhub. That is the national market share between the delivery apps at this point. So obviously, nationally, it will favor Doordash. I am not aware of any market in which Uber is ahead in terms of market share is concerned. Again, I operate in an ex-urban rural submarket of the Twin Cities metropolitan area. We're the very northern fringe. You go any further north of here, you're basically outside of the Twin Cities zonage for DoorDash in particular. As such, Grubhub's market share here is 0. They do not come all the way up here. In my market, it's 90% DoorDash and 10% Uber. So you don't even want to, if you're going to be doing a single app, it needs to be DoorDash up here. If you do a single, I was once deactivated from DoorDash for a short period of time. I only had Uber to go with, and it was miserable. It was very typical to go hours between any sort of requests, let alone anything that was actually worth taking on Uber alone. So in my market, there's no question, you have to have DoorDash. You cannot. You can multi-app. You just don't want to do it with Uber only here. So volume, DoorDash, not even close. Quality of offers is a little bit more complicated. I think DoorDash does pay on average a little less per offer, but on Uber, the ones that you get tend to be a pet food delivery chain called Chuck and Don's, and you also get the occasional Walmart overflow. Walmart, of course, uses Spark for the lion's share of their deliveries, but if they're in a weekend such as now, 4th of July weekend, there is an overflow. I've had their employees tell me this before too, that if they're extremely busy, some of theirs do spill over into Uber. So they use Uber Eats as kind of a overflow or an emergency bailout system, but it is not their preferred choice for their own grocery deliveries. That, of course, is Spark. Given this being the case, those offers do tend to be a lot better than your typical food delivery runs. At least from my experience. I don't know if it is that way anywhere nationally. If it is, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you on this one. But at least in this market, Uber Eats with Chuck and Don's delivery and Walmart, those offers do tend to be quite a bit better than your typical food delivery run. So, just projected one for 15 miles and $7. Whoopity-doo. Obviously, miles get doubled out here. So it's really a 30-mile trip for $7. That's not just a no, that's a hell no. Back to my comparisons real quick. The quality of offers on Uber can be a little bit better than DoorDash, but DoorDash, the volume is just so tremendously in their favor. So in that regard, they're better. Now, as far as timing or payment is concerned, DoorDash gets the advantage on this one as well. Because when you get your offer on DoorDash, you finish it out, you close it out, you get it all at once. On Uber, you do not. And this is a remnant from the tip baiting era. Back when you had to wait to know if you would get your tip or not. Now you do know that you're going to get your tip, but you still have to wait for that hour to pass in order to see the tip. Now you're guaranteed to get it, but you got to wait an hour to do so. That is a remnant of that period, and so it's still true. You only get your base pay immediately in Uber, but your tip will lag behind by an hour. So in that regard, DoorDash has the advantage because you get it all at once. Now, another timing issue is on when the payment actually comes in. When does it go to your card? On DoorDash, you don't get it on your card until you end your dash. So you have to end the existing dash in order to get the money that you've accumulated on your Crimson card. On Uber, this is not true. That money comes in immediately upon completion of the offer, with the exception being the part that I just mentioned about the tips. The tips lag by an hour. But if you get like a Walmart or a Chuck and Don's pet food order, for example, or PetSmart, that's another example, for those in other parts of the country, that money, in those cases, those are not tipped off orders or tipped offers. And so because they're not, you get the whole thing at once on Uber. So in that regard, with grocery and pet food deliveries, Uber has the advantage. As far as navigation is concerned, Uber's navigation is notoriously poor, whether you're talking about delivery or driving passengers. The reason why I can say this is, on Uber, it will give you the shortest route, but not necessarily the fastest route. And when you have as much local knowledge as I do of the roads and where they go and how the lights are set up on a particular route, you want the fastest route. You do not want the shortest route necessarily. So if you know how the signal light patterns go, your advantage is with DoorDash, because they use Google Maps. And Google Maps will always give you the fastest route without fail. Whereas Uber will give you the shortest route, but you may get stuck in traffic for a while or stuck at long lights. Now, if miles is important to you, then this might be an advantage for Uber. But I've not found the difference between the shortest and the fastest, between the two routes on distance necessarily being all that much. But as far as time goes, Uber showing the shortest route is a disadvantage. It may be shortest by half a mile, but it takes 10 minutes longer on the route that Uber gives you. Navigation advantage goes to DoorDash. Offer quality can sometimes go towards Uber. Payment on immediate payment on your offers or orders, advantage Uber. But number, volume of offers, and this is kind of where the grade gets weighed. I weigh it heavily in favor of this. Obviously, DoorDash dominates my market 90 to 10 to 0. So you have much more opportunities, of course, much more opportunities to reject, but nonetheless, you get more opportunities for offers on DoorDash. This is also true nationally. Again, I don't know any market in which Uber has the advantage over DoorDash. I just don't. If you're in one, and if you have links to articles that authenticate this, give me a shout out and let me know. So overall, if you're going on based on what's important, basically the number of offers that there is being more important than the rest, DoorDash is the better app to drive on. And again, being in this market that I'm in, Forest Lake, Minnesota, you can't even make a good part-time income on Uber up here. On DoorDash, you can. But on Uber, you can't even make a reasonable part-time offer having your app on for 24 hours and only getting 2 offers. And they both suck. If you're stuck with Uber only in a market like this, add DoorDash now. Don't waste any time. That's it for this comparison. So yes, what have I told you? Overall, add everything up together, weighted based on opportunities and offers, Uber is the better of the 2 apps to operate on. So that's it for now. I'll see you next time, and as always, peace out, home.